The tech boom of the early 21st century led to a rise in new digital technology. Cell phones became more advanced and contained higher computing power than most computers from the 2000s. Data could be rendered faster and in larger quantities, allowing for gigabytes and terabytes of data to be seamlessly downloaded across the internet. This boom carried into the film industry as well. With the constant improvements of lenses and consumer-grade film equipment, there was an even bigger rise in computer-generated imagery, or CGI for short. Whether it was in animation or live action, the 2000s brought a wave of visually impressive films that were only possible with the new technology. Those films became technically outdated very quickly once they figured out hair, water, and other factors in the 2010s. Now, we almost take for granted what people can do with a green screen and some great software. All this to say that the film industry has and will always rely on new technology to create. From Citizen Kane to Rocky to Avatar and everything in between, new technology breeds innovation and creativity in the film industry. This is all thanks to the inventors, engineers, and scientists who tinker and innovate the industry's newest tech. They get honored every year at the Academy Awards annual Scientific and Technical Awards. Today, we'll take a look at the awards themselves, the history of the show, and some of the winners, plus the impact they made on the film industry. These are the unsung heroes of film. So first off, what are the Scientific and Technical Awards? According to the Academy website, the awards are, quote, in recognition of original developments that result in significant improvements in motion picture production and exhibition, end quote. We'll get to the exhibition later, but they are there to honor those who make it happen. Without these technical improvements, we would still be making silent films and having to work with the technology of the early 20th century. It also explains why it's called the Academy Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. The actual awards show operates as a dinner. Actors and directors give speeches and bring some star power to what otherwise would be a very low-key award show.
Open VDB is, I'm sorry.
That's so funny, Margot.
I don't know why it sounds so sexual to me.
As it is, I never heard about it until one of the members at 305 told me about it. 3 main awards get handed out: the Award of Merit, the Scientific and Engineering Award, and the Technical Achievement Award. These awards don't work like the Oscars, however, as the awards are given out based on the achievements and not as yearly awards like Best Actor and Best Picture. The last winners of the Scientific and Engineering Award were in 2005, to give you an idea. Also, it doesn't help that all 3 awards are given very vague descriptions. They are different awards with different class distinctions, but still bear the description of promoting the advancement of film technology or some language around that. Part of the reason for doing this video was to make a timely video about the awards from this past Friday, where 16 achievements were honored, including a bunch of shit about lasers that I won't understand. However, the main reason for making the video was that I had never heard of these awards and the people honored, as I'm sure some of you hadn't as well. It is understandable why there is such a lack of appreciation for these people and the award shows. Simply put, they're not famous enough. Actors will come out and make speeches to lend some star power for the show. Outside of that, these are scientists, regular people who have worked tirelessly to innovate and expand the limits of filmmaking. With our current celebrity culture and how we gravitate towards them, it's understandable how this event can go under the radar. Hell, the most popular video about the Sci-Tech Awards is a message from producer Kathleen Kennedy, which is probably due to a bunch of people bombing the video with dislikes due to the Gina Carano firing controversy. Never fear, we'll try to give these people their just due. So, let's elaborate on the history of the awards show. Looking back at it, it's amazing how you can pinpoint exact moments in film history and look at the state of the industry at any given time. In the 1930s, it was all about sound. Since the talkies were a relatively new thing, improvements had to be made in sound quality. RKO, Warner Brothers, and others developed compressors, microphones, and transmitters for better sound recording. Douglas Shearer was a sound designer for MGM who helped develop the two-way horn system. Funny enough, he also won 5 Academy Awards for sound design over the course of his career. That's the other cool thing about these awards. Many of the recipients are filmmakers or work in the film industry in some capacity. It goes to show the level of innovation you have to be at the top of the industry. Then you get into the 40s, where it's more about improvements in lighting, development, and general film improvements. 20th Century Fox and Daniel Clark developed the 20th Century silenced camera. Clark, the head of the American Society of Cinematographers in the 20s, shot a ton of movies in the 20s and 30s, including a bunch of Charlie Chan movies. The 50s are a really telling time period for the Sci-Tech Awards. The television set was quickly becoming a staple of the modern American home, creating a convenient and cheap source of entertainment for families everywhere. This really scared the film industry, leading to all sorts of gimmicks and tactics to get people into the theaters. 20th Century Fox was honored for developing CinemaScope in 1953, birthing the anamorphic format of shooting. That same year, Fred Waller was honored for coming up with the Cinerama, a giant widescreen perfect for the kind of epic and grand stories Hollywood wanted to lure audiences in with.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinerama.
The next year, Paramount was honored for VistaVision, their non-anamorphic version of CinemaScope. In 1957, the Motion Picture Research Council was awarded for the development of a projection screen for the drive-in theater, continuing their popularity into the 60s. For all the hoopla and focus that was made about improving the experience of film, and specifically film projection, the 60s to 70s had incredible improvements in film making. Whether it was improved camera bases, more mobile camera equipment, and more versatile film negatives, film equipment became more modern with each passing moment. The motherlode of all innovation came in 1977, when our Lord and Savior Garrett Brown won an award for the development of the Steadicam. A truly remarkable invention, the Steadicam allowed filmmakers to move freely around sets with the same stability as a tripod. Rocky, The Shining, and many other fantastic films are indelibly linked to this great invention and have proved its worth for years to come. In the 80s and 90s, it's a whole other ballgame, particularly in the late 90s. In the earlier years, you have more improvements to make things more consumer grade. Canon and Kodak do some great work during this time. However, you quickly see the inclusion of CGI as a real thing during this era. Improvements in 2D tracking, 3D visualization, and rendering take off from here. Back in 1980, Linwood G. Dunn and others come out with the Acme Dunn optical printer for special effects. Dennis Muren and ILM developed a figure mover for animation photography in 1981. Muren worked on all the great sci-fi and visually impressive movies from Spielberg and Lucas: Star Wars, Close Encounters, E.T., Jurassic Park, an insane resume. The big standout invention for us was the Avid Film Composer, and it was honored in 1998. The first real digital editing software shaped the filmmaking landscape for years to come, providing editors a convenient and accessible platform to mold their film.
At Avid, we make tools for storytellers. The most powerful digital media content creation tools for educating and informing the world.
It can't be overstated how important these inventions are. Just looking at the past 50 years, we can see the practical application of a lot of this stuff. The Steadicam is such a helpful tool for any director and DP, knowing from personal experience. Years later, DIY filmmakers have been able to take the Steadicam concept and either add additional stabilization components to make some really insane stuff, or create cheap rigs that still get the job done. Avid really takes the cake, however, when it comes to practical application and impact on the film world. It's the predecessor of DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere. All digital media owes itself to the creation of Avid. Without the originator, you don't get the other digital editing software, and you don't get a lot of the great films to come out from the past 20 years. Outside of those examples, it is difficult to follow some of the innovations. What is the Houdini visual effects and animation system? Not sure, but Mark Elland won an award for developing it in 2017. What's telling with the practical application of some of these innovations is just how much we take for granted. The examples of the Steadicam and Avid are tangible and have a clear understanding, but then you have the development of the Techno Crane being honored in 2004. Without that, you don't get those supreme action shots in Lord of the Rings, X-Men, and others. Going back to 1988 with Ray Dolby, as in Dolby Sound, being honored in 1988 for his contributions to sound. Without him, we don't get the development of the Universal 5.1 surround sound configuration. Hell, all the innovations from basically before the 60s are so intrinsic in modern filmmaking that they have been tweaked and changed and altered hundreds of times over by now. Camera weight, lens size, motors on audio devices, and heat from high-powered lights were all issues in days past. Our boy Daniel Clark helped develop that silenced camera, which definitely helps your audio when you don't have to worry about a loud-ass motor running while filming. Those are all old world problems that were solved by the brilliant minds at work here. It's tough to truly recognize these inventors just because of how complex their work is. We only know the practical application of anamorphic lenses or editing softwares and the like. We don't really know what goes into developing a lens or coding the software. We can appreciate the craft behind it, and that may be where we can start. We can start by telling Garrett Brown's story and show his work in The Shining and Return of the Jedi. We can talk about the importance of Ray Dolby and all that he did for movie sound. So many legends to tell. The hope is that the internet expands and, with it, carries the stories of these legends so that they may get their recognition for years to come. They may not be the stars on screen, but we can cast their legend amongst the stars. Thank you very much for watching. Hope that outro wasn't too poetic for you. If you like this video, check out some of our other video essays and leave a like for us. Comment below if we should cover any other subjects in the film world, and please subscribe. Thank you again and have a great day.